Hello everyone, Merry Christmas, if it still is Christmas by the time you're watching this. I'm recording this on the night of Christmas because there's important Doctor Who things to discuss. We have a new Doctor, newish Doctor, new companion, all kinds of things that I'd like to dive straight into talking about, so let's do that. The Church of Ruby Road. Out of fear of being one of those YouTubers that constantly apologises for sounding sick, I'm going to ignore the fact that my nose is incredibly blocked, and hopefully you can ignore the fact that my temperature is incredibly high, and that I'm probably a little bit less coherent than usual, which that's quite impressive, really. Let's start by talking about Ruby Sunday, because it really was her episode. She was the newest thing and probably the most important thing to get right, and it was a great idea to give her the focus that she got. I mean, it's not a new idea, of course. It was a great idea when they chose to focus on Rose in 2005, but it is still a great idea now, and I don't think the fact that it's been done means that it shouldn't be done again, because it's what works. I think you need to see the Doctor through the eyes of the companion sometimes. Some of the most interesting introductions are when it's done like that. I made a whole video about it just recently, about why we need a new Rose. But this episode wasn't Rose, and Ruby was not Rose. I don't think after this you could ever really say that she was just a knockoff of Rose Tyler. I think they, right from the start, gave us kind of everything we needed to believe that she was different and invest in her as her own character. And yeah, she has, I guess if we remove all the kind of plot elements, as a presence in the story, Millie Gibson, Ruby as a character, a real infectious energy. She's likable, she's funny, the kind of character that you want to hang out with, and that, you know, watching them feels like you're hanging out with them, and it's a great. I kind of found myself throughout the episode just kind of smiling at hanging out with this fun person, you know, not in a way that makes me sound sad and like, wow, I now have a friend in the TV. Not like that at all. Although, if she makes you feel like that, great, good for you. But just in a case of like, this is a pleasant way to spend my time, because, you know, not to be too comparative to the old era, that wasn't the case, was it? It wasn't a case of I like these people and I'm spending time with these people who I want to spend time with. It was, this show says Doctor Who when I, you know, click on the info button, so I guess I have to tune in. That's just a mean way to start. That's very non-Christmassy of me. But okay, Ruby, you know, this lovely, bubbly, warm presence, fun is the word, and it's a word I'm probably going to overuse in this video. I do apologise. But then I guess we do quite quickly get this depth to her, this kind of longing for her parents, and that's not just like a plot detail that they've written down. Ruby does this because she wants this, you know. It's something that you see, and the surface, not necessarily facade, but the bubbliness and the happy, you know, happy-go-lucky kind of Ruby that we got used to very quickly throughout the episode. We see that break when she talks to Davina in that phone call, that phone McCall. And we see this level of emotion from her that's, you know, quite shocking, I guess, considering the amount of time we've already spent with her, and we're like, how could she be like that? That's our happy-go-lucky gal. But yeah, I think that was really effectively done, and it made you go, oh no, that's my mate, actually. I don't want her to be sad. Yeah, really effective. And later on, she has a nice moment with her mum where she hugs her and cries, and, you know, she's strong, but, you know, the emotion was done really effectively in a way that made you root for her. And you understand why the Doctor roots for her and very quickly seems to care for her. Like, he kind of walks in and goes, that's it, that's my new person. I'm going to look after you and hang out with you, and we're going to have fun. And there's no question of like, oh, why do you do that? No, they're just a great pair. I wonder if the stuff about her birth mother will be this very human thing that, you know, there just isn't a kind of sci-fi reason for. You know, it's a very normal kind of situation, but I guess the cloak and the mystery and it's not very normal shoes and all that, I'm sure it'll become a series arc with a kind of a more Doctor Who-y explanation. But I would kind of like the idea of it not being, and I know it will be. I think I got the sense it would be, and then even in Doctor Who Unleashed, Russell said that it would be a running thing, and yeah, it's got that kind of element to it. This is secrecy. It's not just a backstory. This is a mystery. But you know, I liked the idea of this just being her very human origin story that kickstarts a very extraterrestrial adventure. And the Doctor seeing the mum walk off in the distance and choosing not to go and investigate what that's all about, that was an interesting choice to me, and I liked that, but I wonder if it was a case of not now, not at this moment. I guess it wouldn't really be fair to Ruby to not try and give her answers, but we'll see. That's an exciting thing for the future. Right now, I'm just very excited for Ruby's travels with the main guy, old Mr. Who, the Doctor. Ncuti Gatwa is just a superb bit of casting. One of the most inspired choices they have ever made for the show. He is just electric. It's the kind of performance that kind of beckons you in and then just keeps you captivated, grips you for the entire runtime. Anytime he's on screen, you're just like, whoa. Doctor Who, he's magic. It's magic is the word. You look at him and he's so clearly got all these layers to the performance, and the character has got all this depth. But at the same time, it's not like he's kind of walking around moping and like, oh, I'm mysterious, I've got depth. He's having fun. He's fun to watch. He's fun to spend time with. And he seems fun to be around. Like, Ruby enjoys his company. The two of them spend so much time laughing together. I don't know if there's been this much laughter in the show. I don't know when there would have been this much laughter in the show. Rose? Maybe Rose? It's not... They don't tend to have this kind of fun on this kind of level. And I mean, Rose was often kind of giggling at 10 because they were fancying each other, but this is just... They're friends that are making each other cackle. It's a wonderful dynamic to see play out on screen. And that's... It's the key thing about the Doctor. He seems unburdened. He seems... joyful, and he's doing the I'm on my own and I'm just passing through thing, but not in a way that's like I'm passing through because I deserve to suffer and because I can't have anyone. And it's like, no, he just seems to be having a nice time. I think maybe, he's not dim, he's not stupidly just naively smiling his way through the world. He's just like, this is what I do. I'm the Doctor. I'm living my life. There was the scene where he's dancing in the club. And Ruby kind of notices that and notices this kind of wild freedom, this unburdenedness. I thought was really effective. I know in Doctor Who magazine they talked about this and they described exactly what it said in the stage directions, and I think that was conveyed so perfectly in the episode itself. I will find exactly what it said. It says, a man dancing like crazy, middle of the floor, and there's just something about him. Joy, happiness, life. She smiles. Now, I think that's very lovely. I think kind of seeing that infectious, spirit of living and enjoying life and appreciating it and taking the life you have and doing something with it without feeling self-conscious or any kind of... It's a wonderful characterization for the Doctor to have, and it doesn't necessarily conflict with the version of the Doctor that we've come to love. It's not, they've rewritten the Doctor, they've rewired his entire chemistry. I think he's fully capable of all the things that we expect from him. It's just that in this moment, he is not moping about the Time War or about... I mean, he still has the Timeless Child stuff. It seems like they're sticking with that mostly for the sake of depth for the character rather than a big lore dump, which happy to do that. But I think coming back to By Generation from I say last week, the giggle does not feel like a very long time ago at all, but By Generation is something that I, over the course of that video, grew to appreciate a bit more, and the more I do think of it, the more I see that it can benefit Ncuti's Doctor just as much as David's. I think that was my issue at the start, was I get what we're doing, but this feels very indulgent for the David Tennant Doctor, but the fact that David Tennant can go off and have all this healing and reflection and all this stuff that the Doctor's not ever able to do means that we can have a semi-reset on emotional baggage going into Ncuti, and that is liberating, and he looks liberated, not maybe as a performer, I mean as an incarnation, and it's exciting to see. It's something that I'm interested to see play out. I don't know if we're going to give him his own burdens or if he's just going to stay like this. It's refreshing and it's inviting in a way that potentially a Peter Capaldi style, I'm 2 million billion years old and I've killed 5 people, Clara, and I don't want anyone to come with me. Necessarily, that doesn't really feed the I want to go travelling with this guy kind of thing. It makes for some of the best drama we've ever had in the show, and my favourite Doctor, I will add. But at the same time, the fantasy of sitting at home going, God, I wish he'd take me in the stars, it's like, I don't think I necessarily do, actually. I think something that helps our perception of this character is the fact that everyone else on the screen with Ncuti also really likes him and wants to spend time with him and thinks he's great and gorgeous. And yeah, a lot of people kind of want to sleep with him by the look of it. And I think that goes a long way into making him this kind of welcoming, I've said inviting, but this compelling figure to spend time with. It's like, well, if all these people want to hang out with him, I think I do as well. I'm fascinated that they've kind of Christopher Ecclestoned him, in that, like, we don't know how much time there's been since the regeneration or the bi-generation. He marches onto the scene fully formed, in a sense, in a case of like, oh, this is a guy who is established and confident. And I think that helps. I think that helps in the sense that this is a reboot. I think having him just march on as this figure that has everything going for him. He's got the look. He's got the sonic screwdriver. He's not scrambling around trying to find his identity in a way that works for Doctor Who fans as a transition, but for new viewers probably wouldn't work. I think that's a really interesting choice, and I think probably a really good one. And I think, like the Ninth Doctor, there is depth that we can explore. It's not like, because we didn't see the very first moments of this Doctor, we're robbed of ever really knowing them. I mean, any fan of the Ninth Doctor would tell you that that's a ridiculous notion, even if they may be feeling right now like, oh, hang on, we've skipped a bit here of this Doctor's development. And we have. I think this is very much feeling like Rose again. In a way that's like, okay, it's achieving the same thing rather than they're doing Rose again. I think he's in the episode just the right amount as well. I think we follow Ruby for the amount of time she needs and the story needs for it to work. The snowman scene was a recent reshoot, semi-recent. You know, they filmed most of this a very long time ago, but watching that, I was like, hang on, I remember snowman filming going on not too long ago. I don't think it would have stood out to me if I didn't know that, but that made me think, oh, okay, they've caved a little bit on how secret they're keeping the Doctor at this stage. Like, they're going, oh, you know what, our audience need a little bit of Ncuti a little earlier on. So I noticed that and thought, you know what, good call. Apparently that actually came from Disney. That came from a Disney kind of note of, yeah, we've tested it. We should see more Ncuti. I don't love the precedent of that Disney can say, oh, by the way, reshape this entire thing, take this story that you've pretty much completed and just tack a bit on top. But at the same time, I think that seeing a bit more of the Doctor does help. And I don't hate that scene at all. I think there's some really fun stuff there. So, yeah, at the same time, having him, his introduction be running along those rooftops properly after some mysterious kind of... I guess that is the thing. Like, he's mysterious, and then Ruby actually meets him when he's running across the rooftops and their paths properly cross. But then you also get this tacked on kind of, oh, here's the Doctor on his own doing a bit, and we're following him arbitrarily. Yeah, maybe that doesn't necessarily flow, but I didn't mind it while I was watching it, really. I noticed what they were doing, but not in a way that was negative. But yeah, maybe that rooftop scene would have been good. It was a good scene. I think that's the benefit of having a young, incredibly fit actor play the role, is that you can bring this physicality to it. Like, he's leaping over those roofs, he's hanging onto those ladders, he's doing all this kind of wirework stuff. It's really good stuff, and that's an exciting element to bring to the show. Obviously, I like that the Doctors can be all shapes, sizes, ages, whatever. But if you do have an actor like this, Ncuti is incredibly fit. You may as well make use of that. The more I think about it, the more I like meeting this fully formed, wonderfully established Doctor with the incredible costumes, such a distinct, immediately recognizable look, a theme that is so, instantly, like, I guess it's so different from the rest of the Murray Gold instrumental music that you get in the scenes that you're like, oh, hang on, something's happening here. That's the theme. And once that's happened a couple of times, then it's completely recognisable. There's no sense of, I need to let this theme play a few more times to really get it. I have been singing it all day, all afternoon, evening since the episode aired. Like, I was having some pate on some crackers and just going... I mean, again, that's wonderful singing that was going to get this video copyright striked. And I had to apologise to my sister. I was like, I'm sorry, but the new Doctor Who has a new theme and it's in my head. And just a wonderful, wonderful bit of... He's just... I don't know. It's like the Doctor is... We've not wasted any time, and it's not... But, a Doctor slowly building up to their identity is not usually wasted time. But I guess if you're doing a reboot like this, throwing us in with this character that we just know, and we're like, wow, and we want to see more from, but not in a sense of, I want to know who this Doctor is, because we kind of know who this Doctor is now. We just need to see them in different situations. I think... It's incredibly, incredibly exciting. So now that I've reviewed The Doctor and Ruby Sunday, I guess maybe I should talk about the episode as a whole. Goblins, I guess. The Goblins are to this episode a bit like what the Autons are to Rose, where they're not great, but they're not particularly important. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter that they're not great. Maybe the Goblins are a bit worse than the Autons. The Autons are quite an effective image. Are the Goblins actively bad? Not the eating baby stuff. I mean, like for the quality of the episode. Not in a case of either, that's just silly. They shouldn't be doing that. No, I'm fully on board with mischievous, scheming little fellas. Scurrying about the place and stealing babies. That's all fun, but it gets a bit messy, doesn't it? I think. Once it gets into coincidence and everything that happens once they rescue Lulubelle really is not great, I guess, and it gets in the way of what works about the episode, I'd say, and I wonder. I've actually not had much discussion about this episode or seen much discussion. Christmas is quite a busy day in the Brennan household. I don't know about you guys, but I'll be interested if people think that side of the Goblin things is what lets them down, or I'm sure people will be saying just too silly, which I can't imagine thinking that really. Their role in the story was strange. Like, the Doctor it wasn't about the Doctor trying to stop them really, or say eating babies is wrong, I'm going to put a stop to this. It was like, let's rescue this baby and the other baby, Millie is a baby, but then we can just let them go. It's like, not necessarily, obviously he doesn't let them go. I don't need a comment telling me that he actually does kill the Goblin King, but that seems more like a byproduct of saving Ruby than, deliberately, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone here. I'm going to stop them and save the baby. I think if he'd just got the baby, he'd be like, we did it, we saved the day. And that's kind of how they feel at a certain point. And then it's like they start talking about coincidences and things, and everything gets a bit more complicated, I suppose. I liked the stuff on the Goblin ship about like reading ropes and learning the language of ropes. I think that was very, very the Doctor. And that was, the strength of the two leads really shone there. And whenever they were together on screen, it was like, This is magic. They are working Doctor Who magic in front of me right now. So yeah, fully on board with that. The Goblin King was a good puppet. I saw how it worked on Doctor Who Unleashed. 5 people puppeteering it inside, and someone else, at least one other person controlling remotely. I almost feel like, to what end? Why did you do this? Like, not you've wasted the puppet, but also. Yeah, why would you do all this for something that doesn't really matter? I mean, I guess it's just what a wonderful thing to be able to do, is to have this Goblin King. But yeah, I don't know if it needed to be either less or more about goblins. Yeah, I think that's it. Less goblins or more goblins, but not this amount of goblins. And we can't talk about the Goblins without talking about the Goblin song, which I honestly thought was fun and silly. And yeah, it didn't ruin the episode for me. It didn't... it wasn't good enough to make the episode for me, but I was like, I'm having fun with this. And then Doctor Who starts singing, and Gibbo starts singing, and it's like, hang on, what's this all about? And I was wondering and struggling with the uncertainty of, are they improvising a song to get out of trouble? Are they just is Ruby stepping up to to kind of join in the song, and the Doctor just, leading it in that sense? Or is it musical theatre rules where this perfect rhyming song has appeared in their heads fully formed and they just have to sing their hearts out? And that question was on my mind a little bit from a kind of nerd perspective, but as a moment itself, I think it's actually very fun. But I do wonder if, Russell mentioned wanting to do more music in the future. I wonder if maybe like the Jinx Monsoon character will show up and say, haven't you remembered all the times that, you've randomly burst into song? And they're like, yeah, actually, that was weird. That I think would be really fun. And I'd like to, if there's maybe an explanation, have that kind of musical theatre rule, have that. They have a song that they sing, and it's good because they both have nice voices. I thought Ncuti's voice was really strong. He said that he's not a singer, he's an actor, but I think he could definitely, fake his way through that. And Millie as well, it was a nice voice. Obviously, she was kind of doing nervous, apprehensive singing. I don't know if that was Millie Gibson or Ruby Sunday, but it was one of them, and it worked. It came across very well. But yeah, interesting. I not what I was expecting. What else is there to talk about? I think mostly running through my mind right now is new Doctor, new companion. I love them, and I want to see more. When? And what else? Sonic Screwdriver. When it was revealed, we all went, huh? In context, in the episode, pretty good, pretty cool, pretty nifty little gadget. I don't know. It looks pretty good, I think. Yeah. Supporting characters, that's a nice thing to have. A supporting cast in our main character's life. I think the companion should be the main character, and they are the ones suited to having people around them that can be involved in the story. So we have the mum, originally foster mum, now adopted mum. I can't remember her name, but she was wonderful. She brought all the kind of warmth and loving, and then we saw her without that as well. And in both ways, I think almost seeing the absence of that made you realise just how much of that warmth there was in the real good timeline. So yeah, I thought she was nice. Not just nice, lovely, wonderful. Obviously, I think the grandma is the more scene-stealing role. Cherry, I think she has the more of the moments, the moments that make you go, oh, Cherry, that's classic you, this character I've known for 5 minutes. But it's true. I think Russell's always been good at making you care about the supporting people in these lives, the families, the reason to go back home. And I can really see both of these two becoming iconic Russell T Davies companion family characters. And again, they don't feel derivative. It doesn't feel like, oh, Russell, another mum. It's like, well, no, people have mums. She's a different mum. She's not Jackie. She's not Francine. She's not Sylvia. We saw Sylvia 2 weeks ago, and she's hilarious and brilliant, but this isn't that. And Cherry's not Wilf. Even if she was Wilf, that would be fine. I really trust that these are characters we're going to fall in love with. I do. I get that sense. I don't know if it's just blind faith or sensible optimism, really, because I think I've been shown enough to be excited about what's to come. The neighbour, Mrs. Flood, was another one I was like, oh, a supporting member of the crew. And then kind of the more we saw of her, I was like, is there something else going on with her? This doesn't just feel like you kind of, oh, hello, Mrs. Flood. Not quite, as much of a typical presence. And then, obviously, at the end, or after the end, at the post-credits, she breaks the fourth wall and says, never seen a TARDIS before. And it's like, oh, hang on a minute there. And I think a fourth wall break is very funny. I think they should do it more. No, they shouldn't. They should not be scared to do it sparingly when it's effective and funny, because it is a kind of oh shit kind of moment. Like it's unsettling and wrong, and also it has good comedic potential. And remember when Capaldi looked in the camera in Heaven Sent? Yeah, but I'm nothing without an audience. What am I talking about? Yeah, interested to see where that goes. Obviously, not much to talk about just yet. Davina McCall, is she a supporting character? I guess. kind of cool to have her. It makes it feel like it's in the real world. Also, specifically tying us to a date, I think is interesting. That's something that they almost avoided a little, or have almost always avoided. Chibnall did it a bit, actually. Like, he would just write the year in the biggest text you've ever seen. I'm not saying he personally would do this, but that would prop up a bit more. But I think literally dating the episode, this is Christmas Day 2023, interesting. And good, maybe. Relatable. I don't know. Davina McCall, what are we talking about? I think she should have stayed dead, and that's not in any way mean of me. I think that's a funny gag. And I almost think that popping back in time to fix it is a bit of a shame. That's maybe a bit of a running thing throughout the episode, or about the episode as a whole, is, I don't know, it's paced and shaped quite weirdly. It's simple fun up to a point, and then it gets weird and it gets complicated in a way that isn't very elegant. It's not very graceful. It doesn't smoothly sail through the complicated stuff in a way that something this technically complicated probably should, I guess, is the blunt way to say it. Ruby disappears, and I think the initial dread of that is quite, exciting. It's quite, oh, hang on, this is not good. And then the more it proceeds, the more it's like, oh, okay. They do the kind of, oh, she never had this impact on these people's lives. I watched It's a Wonderful Life the other day, and it's wonderful. Seeing the life of these people without George Bailey is fascinating, and enlightening for George, especially because he doesn't believe that he is worth anything. And Donna, in Turn Left, she doesn't believe she's worth anything, and then you take her out of the equation in such a way, and you see just how important she is. I don't think anyone was questioning that about Ruby Sunday, really. Like, in fact, no. The mum was saying, I'm glad you're here, Ruby. If you were gone, I'd be sad. And Ruby was like, yeah, you're right. I don't think it wasn't like that's not her arc, really. And nor does she learn anything from it. She just comes back. Nor have we spent enough time with her to see this on a larger scale. It's just, oh, two people are sadder now. We knew they would be, really. I don't know. But that didn't necessarily bother me as much as everything else. So the issue is that something bad happened in the past. And the solution is he gets in his time machine and he goes to the past to make sure it doesn't happen. That's boring. That's bad. And that's not how the show works. And I mean that not in the sense of like, oh, you've broken the rules of the show and it's bad because, there's law and there's limitations. That doesn't matter. The show shouldn't have any scientific limitations in that way. It's not like, actually, you can't cross the personal timeline once you've... No, I don't care, okay? Sorry, I'm getting quite heated here. That's not it at all. It's not, it's bad because it broke the rules. It's, the rule kind of exists, and the rule is, someone will say, oh, Doctor, can't you just hop in your box and go fix it? And the Doctor has to make up some bullshit science reason to go, no, that would flim-flam the dobbles. And that forces the episode to be interesting, and it forces something else to happen, something more compelling and satisfying to happen, because the Doctor going back and fixing it, stopping a thing from happening, isn't interesting. So it's not that it's bad because it breaks the rules, it's that the rule exists because breaking it would be bad. And I think that side of the story and that resolution is far from satisfying, and it's messy in the sense of like, oh, what else is going to happen? And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, something terrible's happened because of events in the olden days. I'll make those events unhappen. And I think the story suffers in that sequence from not having Ruby in it. Somehow, I don't quite know how. Like, if you have her fading away Marty McFly style along the journey, that's at least a little bit of tension. But frankly, there wasn't much, was there? It was, oh, there's a problem. Oh, this is how he's going to fix it? Oh, he's fixed it. Yeah, not a great part of the episode, I think, and something that lets down the whole in a way that I wish it didn't, but not in a way that poisons everything that's come before it. I guess it continues to be a little messy even once it's resolved. The Doctor is kind of, thinking, maybe I'm the bad luck, maybe I'll leave. And you think he's left, but then we start following Ruby, and Ruby decides she wants to go with the Doctor, and the Doctor's like, oh yeah, Ruby, come along. Or we don't see that. And I wonder if we don't see that because that's like proper companion stuff that they're saving for the next episode. Like the proper, I'm the Doctor, this is my TARDIS. That's not happened yet. This is my time and space machine. We can go anywhere, we see anyone, do that. I do wonder if they want to keep that as part of the actual series. And I also wonder if that's a Disney thing, because from what I understand, that's when they're really going to push this as the Disney Plus original series, Doctor Who. So they've almost held back on companion Ruby for the sake of that. I don't know. That's interesting. A weak note to end on, but not necessarily one that spoils everything before it. And even within them, there are exciting things, I suppose, and good things. I guess if we're wrapping up and discussing the episode as a whole, it's a bit like the Star Beast, I suppose, which it's middling praise, but it's better than the Star Beast, I think. Yeah, no, it is better than the Star Beast. The Star Beast, while in some elements not the greatest episode in itself, does a great job of setting up the new status quo for the 3 specials. This episode, I think, has higher lows, and similarly high highs, actually, to be honest, and maybe more consistently high highs. Like it kind of hits those great moments between these characters for more of the runtime, and also it doesn't have the benefit of building on anything that we've already seen. You know, it is a brand new Doctor and a brand new companion, and for that you can overlook things a lot more, and it's not a case of, the Star Beast is crap, it's just relying on the nostalgia of Tennant. Not that I think that's true, but you can't make that claim here. This episode isn't crap because the Doctor is great without any nostalgia for Gatwa. Unless someone gives up on the show and leaves a very long gap between the giggle and this episode, which I guess is possible and probably will happen to a couple of people. What am I talking about? I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm getting so hot in this room. I would take this lovely Christmas shirt off if it wasn't for continuity. I had to ditch the hat within about a minute. But this episode succeeds in the one thing it really needed to do, which is to make me care about these characters and to make me excited for the future. And it does that. It does that so well. And obviously, I've been excited. I've been looking forward to it. But that's been a kind of blind hope, whereas this is an informed hope. And it's not only do I want to see good Doctor Who, I want to see these characters in Doctor Who for a while. And I'm excited that I will, you know? I made that video about Doctor Who needing a new Rose, the episode, rather than the character, and I think we have one. I think we have something that will hopefully be the perfect thing you can point to and say, watch this, it's fun, it's good, and not only that, it gets even better. I hope there's enough in here to make you like it. I think it leaves you knowing everything you need to know and feeling everything you need to feel in order to be invested and engaged and interested and excited, and it's exciting, it's good in its own right, you know, it's fun, it's funny, it's maybe not like an instant classic that I'm going to rewatch, but as the start of something good. If this could be the strong start or the good start of something great. I mean, it could be, you know, the good start of something bad and then it makes the good here look less good. But if what follows is good, and I said this about the Star Beast, if what follows is good, this will have completely achieved everything it needs to be. And will be great. You know, I kind of consider it like Smith and Jones. You know, no one, I don't think, holds that up as, you know, the best Doctor Who story. But as a start for Martha Jones, you couldn't really ask for a better one. And this does that, you know, for Ruby, plus a brand new Doctor. It's Rose, it's Smith and Jones, it's 11th Hour. Comparable. As far as we're talking Doctor and Companion, a comparable introduction to something like 11th Hour. And yeah, that has to be applauded and commended and celebrated, and I'm happy to do so. My only downside is that for this duo, this wonderful, fun duo that you want to spend your time with, this is the only episode we'll have with them until May with season 1. So to be honest, when I said this isn't going to be one that I rewatch a lot, I might have been lying. May is probably a good call. If I think about it, having it in the middle of the year means that there's not much of a wait either side for the Christmas special. So you've got less than half a year before and after the Christmas special. So if that's how the show always is, then it never goes away for too long. It's not a case of, oh, let's have it in February, and then you've got to wait most of 2024 for another taste of Doctor Who. So on that level, I get it. And once it ends, once the season ends, and we have to wait for a year today, Christmas, I will be grateful for that. I will say, brilliant. Not as long a wait. We're halfway out of the dark in a sense, and that's good. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh, come on, guys. I want to keep doing this. I'm in Doctor Who mode now. You've made me expect it. I will be here in a week going, where are they? Last year we had 3 specials. But how do you feel about this one? As I said, I've not had the chance to see what the general vibe is here. I've spoken to a select few people about their thoughts, and I have no idea if that's going to represent everyone. I don't know if I'm the big outlier here that I had fun, or if people are going to have the same issues that I had, or on a bigger scale. I hope everyone likes Ncuti as much as I do. It's one of those things, I'm just there going, isn't he great? Everyone loves that, but maybe there's discussion. I don't know. But yeah, the same goes with Ruby, really. I'm just like, what a great new companion. I don't know. Let me know, how do you feel about everyone and everything? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I'm sorry that I'm probably a little bit feverish and delirious, but yeah, I've really enjoyed making this video, as always, and I'm going to, based on the support of the previous 3 60th special videos, I'm going to be making these kind of semi-scripted, semi-off-the-cuff thoughts videos for every Ncuti episode, and maybe every Ncuti season. So subscribe if you're interested in seeing that. Obviously that'll be coming in May. Until then, I'm going to be doing some more scripted stuff, some more unscripted stuff, some stuff about Doctor Who, some stuff about not Doctor Who that I hope you guys can watch, because my Star Wars videos don't do very well, but they're very good. But yeah, so please, if you did enjoy, stick around for more, because I'm not going anywhere, and I really enjoy making these. So yeah, thank you again. Like this video, do all the things that YouTubers say, share it with a friend, tell a friend. I hope you all have, or have had, a wonderful festive season, wonderful Christmas if you celebrate, just a lovely winter or summer, or wherever you are, whatever you celebrate. Just I hope you're having a lovely time out there. Yeah, I'll see you very soon. Happy New Year. Love you lots.